It was a quiet night in a peaceful, upscale neighborhood, the kind of place where nothing crazy ever really happens. Families were settling in, lights dim, dinner dishes cleaned, and children tucked in bed. But on that particular night, everything changed. That calm, ordinary evening was about to be turned upside down. At the center of it all was Teyana Taylor's house. From the outside, it looked still and calm, lights dim, curtains drawn tight. But inside, it felt like the house was holding its breath, waiting for something terrible to arrive. Earlier that day, social media had exploded with rumors. People were whispering online that Pierre wasn't going to let the night pass without doing something drastic. He'd been quiet for too long, and now it seemed like he was done holding back. As the sky turned pitch black and the streets went silent, Aaron made his move. He pulled up in a large black SUV, the tires crunching against the driveway. He swung the door open so hard it nearly hit the bushes. Then, he stepped out and began pacing in front of Teyana's gate like a storm getting ready to strike. His face was tense. His jaw clenched so tightly, it looked like his teeth might crack. His eyes never left the front door. Across the street, a neighbor peeked through her curtain. She quietly called her husband over, and together, they watched Aaron, sensing that this wasn't going to stay a private matter. This wasn't just some small disagreement. It was about to become something everyone on the block would remember. Inside the house, Teyana was sitting stiffly on the edge of her couch. Her phone was pressed tightly against her ear. She whispered frantically, maybe to a friend or maybe even 911. Her voice was low. She didn't want to wake her daughter, but deep down, she knew it was already too late. Everything she had worked so hard to protect was falling apart. She had tried for so long to keep things separated: her past with Iman, her complicated love for Aaron, and her role as a mother. But tonight, all of those parts of her life were crashing into each other at once. A week ago, no one could have predicted this scene. Sure, people close to them had started to notice that things weren't perfect between Teyana and Aaron. The couple had been fighting more. Aaron had grown increasingly jealous, especially when it came to Iman. He hated how Iman still showed up for family events. He hated that Iman still called to check on their daughter. But what really got under his skin was how Teyana's face would soften every time she spoke about Iman, even if it was just casual. No matter how many times Teyana said she had moved on, Aaron never truly believed her. The jealousy didn't go away. It grew, and tonight, it boiled over. What made it even worse was that Iman, out of all people, chose this exact night to stop by. In Aaron's mind, it confirmed every fear he'd been holding on to. In her bedroom, Teyana's daughter started crying. She was still half asleep, frightened by the raised voices outside. Teyana rushed in, scooped her up, and held her close. She whispered that everything was okay, even though her own heart was racing. She didn't know if she was comforting her daughter or trying to calm herself. Then, she looked out the window and her heart dropped. Headlights were pulling into the driveway. It was Iman. He stepped out of the car, looking serious and worn out. His eyes scanned the driveway, jumping from Aaron to the house. He hadn't come to fight. He'd heard through a friend that Aaron was outside yelling and came to check on Teyana and their child. But Aaron didn't see it that way. To him, Iman's arrival was just more proof that he was still too close to Teyana's life. The moment Iman got out of his car, Aaron exploded. His voice roared across the street. Every window on the block lit up with curious faces hiding behind blinds. Aaron shouted, "You think you can just show up whenever you want?" He stepped closer, fists clenched, rage radiating from his body. Iman raised both hands, trying to keep things calm, but he stood his ground. "I'm here for my daughter," he said firmly. "You need to calm down." But those words only made things worse. Aaron let out a loud, bitter laugh. "Your daughter? You really think you still have a say in what happens here?" His voice cracked with emotion, but there was no softness in him. He looked like he was seconds away from doing something reckless. Teyana stood in the doorway, holding her daughter, frozen in place. Her heart was torn in half. She wanted to stop them both, but she didn't want to make things worse by stepping into the middle of it. She tried calling Aaron's name, quietly at first, hoping he'd hear her and snap out of it. But Aaron wasn't listening. His focus was locked on Iman, and nothing else mattered. Neighbors were already filming from their porches. Phones were out, catching every second as Aaron stepped right into Iman's face. They stood inches apart, their breath mixing in the cool air. Aaron's voice dropped to a low, dangerous tone. "You've been waiting for this, haven't you? Just waiting for me to mess up so you can slide right back in." Iman shook his head slowly. He looked more exhausted than angry. "Man, you need help," he said softly. "This isn't about me." But that was the wrong thing to say. Aaron shoved him hard. Iman stumbled backward and hit the mailbox with a loud thud. The sound echoed down the street like a warning bell. Teyana screamed. Everything after that happened in a blur. Iman collapsed to the ground, hitting his head against the sidewalk. A neighbor screamed. Teyana placed her daughter safely on the porch and ran to Iman's side. Her hands hovered over him, shaking, trying to help. A scrape on his forehead had already started to bleed. Aaron stepped back, staring at Iman like he didn't believe what he'd just done. His face went pale, his hands trembled. He looked sick to his stomach. The street was now filled with people watching, recording, whispering. Sirens wailed in the distance. Someone had called the police as soon as things got violent. Aaron's chest rose and fell heavily. He wiped his face and turned toward his SUV. For a second, it seemed like he might run, but he didn't. He just stood there, eyes locked on Teyana as she held Iman in her arms. The woman he loved was now comforting the man he couldn't stand. The squad car arrived fast. Blue and red lights painted the walls of Teyana's house. An officer stepped out, hand resting on his belt. He looked around and walked over to Aaron. "Sir, can I ask you to step aside?" he said firmly. Aaron didn't fight back. He didn't argue. His voice was quiet, now almost hollow. The damage was done, and nothing would ever be the same again. "He kept pushing me," Aaron insisted to the police officer. But no one had seen Iman lay a hand on him. The officer gave a small nod but didn't look convinced. Another officer crouched next to Iman, shining a flashlight into his eyes to check for a concussion. Teyana stood nearby, wiping tears from her face, whispering, "I'm sorry," over and over. She didn't even know who she was apologizing to, maybe to Iman, maybe to her daughter, maybe to herself. It didn't take long for the footage to spread. The neighbors' videos were all over the internet within hours. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere you looked, there were clips of Aaron's furious face, the shove, the fall. Comment sections exploded with opinions. Some people said Aaron had finally revealed his true colors. Others blamed Iman for showing up at the wrong time. A few even blamed Teyana, saying she should have kept her past and present separate. Everyone had something to say, but none of them had felt how real and painful that night truly was. The next morning, Teyana posted a short statement to her Instagram stories. It was a black screen with plain white text. "Please respect our family's privacy while we process this. My daughter is my priority." She didn't name Aaron or Iman, but everyone knew exactly who she meant. The comments came in anyway, thousands of messages offering support, judgment, and a whole lot of curiosity. Later that afternoon, Iman posted too. He shared a photo of his bandaged forehead. His eyes looked tired but determined. The caption was simple: "I'll always show up for my daughter, no matter who's standing in my way." That one sentence set the internet off again. Some praised him for protecting his child. Others accused him of making things worse. But one thing was certain: this situation was far from over. Aaron stayed silent online. He didn't post a thing. But cameras caught him leaving the police station the next day. His face looked different, like someone who finally understood just how far he'd gone. People close to him said he'd been unraveling for weeks, feeling like everything important to him was slipping away. But those personal struggles didn't matter to the public anymore. Most people had already made up their minds about who he was. Meanwhile, Teyana's daughter was kept away from the cameras, but it was clear she'd seen more than any child should. Some reports claimed she asked her mom, "Is Daddy okay?" Others said she was too scared to speak at all. Either way, that little girl now carried memories no child should have to hold. By the end of the week, every blog and gossip site had picked up the story. Headlines screamed about the fight, the fall, the bleeding forehead. It was the kind of dramatic chaos tabloids dream about: heartbreak, betrayal, and violence all rolled into one viral moment. Paparazzi crowded outside Teyana's home, hoping to get another glimpse, but they got nothing. Her blinds stayed shut, the front gate stayed closed. Inside, she and her daughter were just trying to breathe, trying to make sense of how everything had fallen apart so quickly. No one knew exactly what had been said in those final, heated moments. No one knew who truly crossed the line. All that was left were fragments of the truth, rumors, and a trail of pain and confusion. Some people believed Teyana was done with both Aaron and Iman, choosing peace over chaos this time. Others said Aaron was already trying to get back in her life, apologizing behind closed doors and hoping to fix what he'd broken. And then there was Iman, quiet, steady, still showing up for his daughter even if things with Teyana were uncertain. But all of that was just talk. When the cameras leave and the internet moves on to the next big thing, what's left behind is real life, real pain, real healing, real choices. As for what happens next, no one truly knows. Maybe not even Teyana. And if she does know, she's not ready to speak it aloud just yet. But one thing is certain, the memory of that night will linger. Aaron's voice echoing through the street, Iman lying on the pavement, Teyana's tears falling fast. A moment that started as a private heartbreak but turned into a very public storm. A moment people won't stop talking about for a long time. And if you were watching it unfold, or if you've got your own thoughts about what really happened, go ahead and share them. Because this story, it's not going away anytime soon. Ask ChatGapped.